Welcome to the Witching Week. Today is episode number 73. Today we're going to be talking about Beltane, we're going to be talking about the eclipse that we've just had, and we're going to be talking about what to do when certain aspects of the wheel of the year don't feel right. How do we celebrate them? So if that sounds interesting to you, you're interested in witchcraft, you're interested in witchcraft topics, then grab a cup of tea, put some incense on, get comfy, and we'll explore the Witching Week. Hi everyone, welcome back. Thank you for being here, thank you for watching. I'm Wren, I'm known as the Cemetery Witch, and every Friday we get together for a cup of tea and a bit of a chit chat about the week previous and the week coming up, what's been going on, what's been happening, and yeah, the wheel of the year, seasonal things. We just have a good old natter about the world. So how are you all doing? First of all, I guess we should do tea and incense. So today I am drinking Glow by Twinings, which is strawberry, cucumber, green tea and aloe vera. And I'm still burning the Zam Zam angel style incense. That's really my favourite at the moment. So yeah, it's creating a lovely, lovely atmosphere in here. It's feeling very witchy and very exciting. It's been an excitable week. There's been a lot going on. What have you been up to? Have you had a good week? I'd love to hear all about your adventures and escapades. I actually managed to get out last weekend and go wild garlic picking. First time I've been out anywhere for a walk in forever. We all know the reasons why, but yeah, we go to this place. It's an ancient woodland and it's not signposted from the road. So although there is a small car park, it's not signposted, so there aren't tons of people there. It's out in a fairly sort of like odd place off of quite a fast road. So it's not really what would you call it? It's not really a pedestrian area. There's no paths or anything. There's this fast road and then there's this tiny car park at the edge of a beech woodland. And yeah, so quite often there's no one there. So it's not a very long walk either to the wild garlic. So there's like a beech woodland and then there's a beautiful silver birch woodland and some lovely other areas, and it doesn't take long to get to the wild garlic, so I can just about do it at the moment, get there and back without doing too much damage. So that was absolutely fabulous. It was 18 degrees. It was the warmest day that we've had of the year so far. I managed to wear one layer and not be frozen and not be cold. So yeah, what a turning point. What a lovely, lovely thing. I was so happy. All the rapeseed oil is flowering at the moment. Everything's like really, really early. I noticed someone saying this morning online that cherry blossom, they notice when it blooms because it tends to sort of start blooming around their birthday, which is the 28th of April, but everything's already blossomed. And yeah, I think things are going to be early this year because I was saying this last week, wasn't I? But because we've had such a mild winter. So yeah, it was absolutely fabulous to actually get out in the world for a change, not be ill, not have any kind of emergencies. But then I've been sat on my bum a lot, working. So yeah, I've not really been wearing myself out too much. So, but yeah, what a turning point in the year. I'm definitely feeling in the Beltane mood. Been thinking about Beltane, writing about Beltane, talking about Beltane. We're going to cover that a bit later on in this episode. So if you want to hear all about Beltane, then hang on for that. What's been going on this week then? Anything big happened for you guys? Anything of any interest? Let me know in the comments. Last week, so last Thursday, we had a bit of a chat about it on Friday, but last week I launched my Patreon and it has been absolutely fantastic. I'm not going to keep going on about Patreon, you all know that I offer it, but I just wanted to offer a massive thanks because there's quite a few people from YouTube in our little community here who have joined. alongside some people from Facebook and Instagram. But I have to say, it's absolutely brilliant. We're still at the stage where I'm kind of setting everything up. Everything can be organised into folders. So I create an image for the folder and give it a name, and it means that all the content that's on there, it's mostly exclusive content. There's a couple of little bits I've pulled over from Instagram, things like spells and recipes. I'm going to put them on there because it's basically an online grimoire. So I'm still very much at the getting in a workflow, getting the page itself organised and starting off being super organised, because I think that's the key to success, to it being good basically for you guys, is being organised and just having everything where you can find it. And as a creator, I have to say it's a brilliant platform. I can post up videos, I can post up just written word articles with pictures, I can upload PDFs. So the two top tiers, they have access to my grimoire. They get a couple of sheets each month and a grimoire starter pack on top of all the other content that I'm popping in there. We're also going to have community spells and altars. There's just so many things going on. It's absolutely brilliant. So yeah, if you're considering it and you feel like you are going to end up signing up, because a few people have said that, they plan to, April is the best time. Because it's our first month, I've got two fabulous giveaways on. One is a giveaway for whatever tier you're in. It's a box of witchy goodies. And secondly, if you decide to join the top tier, which is called the Cemetery Witches, then there is a tarot reading by Titania of husband and wife duo, the Gypsy and the Witch. There is a prize of a personal tarot reading, which is a really fantastic prize. So if you're in the top tier, you could, in theory, and there's not that many of us, there's about 25 people in the group at the moment, you could bag yourself two massive prizes. So if you've been considering it, then now is the time to do it. But yeah, I just want to say thank you so much. It's been absolutely brilliant. We've got a lovely group, and there's just so many things that I want to post about. I'm so excited. I keep getting all these ideas popping into my head. I am sleeping a bit better now this week, now that I've done it and got it launched. But yeah, it's truly giving me life, quite literally. So yeah, thank you so much if you have joined, and thank you so much if you've just supported generally by leaving comments and shares and just generally being here for me. I really appreciate it. So I have had a chance to record some videos. I need to find the time to edit them, but now that I have freed up some things, so by launching the Patreon, and it means that I've finished working on my grimoire, for example, I can now edit my videos. And I think once I'm all totally organised and got into a proper workflow, sort of definitely fit, proper, then yeah, I'll be able to do more. So I don't know when they're going to come out, because I have got a lot to do this week. But yeah, so yeah, watch out for some general witchcraft videos. A little bit of a personal update. I saw my cardiologist last week, and I have been referred to specialist cardiology at Royal Papworth. So there are two things going on. There's the issue with the different rhythms that I'm having with my heart. We don't know why that's going on. I personally think that might actually be virus related. I had a really awful virus a couple of Christmases ago, you probably remember, to the point where I had a proper old lady fall outside. And then in the January, my heart was a mess after that. But there is another issue, and it is serious. And I'm talking properly serious, hence my referral to Royal Papworth. So I was umming and ahhing about whether to tell you what that problem was, but I don't want to focus on it. It's pretty miserable. I'm sure they're going to monitor me and look after me. I have ummed and ahed whether to share or not, but I feel like the more I talk about it, the bigger a problem it becomes. And I really want to move away from that. So yeah, I will be sorted I think, hopefully this year in terms of my rhythm issues. And then I've just got another issue which needs some very careful monitoring, because I could possibly be in a life-threatening situation otherwise. And I've definitely felt that over this last year. So yeah, we'll see how we get on. I might decide to open up a bit more about that later, but it's quite a big bit of news to process, so I'm sure you'll respect me at the moment and just kind of letting me deal with it. I've only known a few days, so yeah, so there we go. So what else has been going on this week? On Monday the 8th we had the Great North American Eclipse. So this was a total solar eclipse that could be seen in North America, Canada and Mexico. There was a partial eclipse here apparently, but you had to be in the west to see it, and I don't know what our weather was like. I mean, at the moment it's just cloudy all the time here. We just live in a cloudy, wet place, so I don't know how people got on down in Cornwall and perhaps parts of Wales and Ireland, but certainly where I am in the UK it was an absolute no-go. So it largely passed me by because of that, and because I've been so busy with setting up this new Patreon and getting organised and making spreadsheets and stuff like that. Because I knew that I wasn't going to be seeing it visually, I kind of, I did switch off from it a little bit. However, I was very much kind of like noticing my energy, how I felt, because obviously just because you can't see it, it happened to us as a planet. Those energies are still there. So I've been very interested in hearing other people and what they think, what they've said about it and how they have felt. And we've been discussing it in the my Moot page all week. And we met last night, my Moot, we meet on a Thursday. And there have been some very, very different experiences. So for some people, it brought to them a really, really heavy energy, one that they didn't like, one that they wanted to escape from. And then for others, people like me, I felt very upbeat. I felt very sort of like positively charged. I felt supercharged. I felt like really enthusiastic and like I could absolutely just tackle anything. And then for other people it brought up some strange emotions, so some feelings of grief, of longing, of like missing loved ones, thinking about like the bigger picture, and was quite emotional for some people. So I would like to know, how did you feel? I would like to know if you saw it. Did you get to see the full eclipse? Was it clear? But I would like to know how you felt as well. And I think about our ancestors. I think about what they must have felt seeing a total eclipse. I'm sure it was a very, very worrying time. They must have felt dreadful. Can you imagine, it's all bright and sunny, and then suddenly the sun starts to become obscured to the point where it all happens in about 4 minutes. It starts to sort of get covered and then it goes completely dark, and probably, I don't know whether it goes quiet. I can't really remember from when I saw one in 1999, but can you imagine how they must have felt? Certainly they felt like it was a bad omen, we know that, and we know that some cultures actually could predict when they would happen. So very, very interesting topic. We've touched on this over on Patreon today, and I'm asking the question, should we do magic at this time? Do you think it's appropriate? And there are lots of sort of feelings on that, and lots of different people feel different things about the solar eclipse, what they feel it represents to them spiritually. It's been really interesting to see who's positive, who was positive in the lead up, and who's been positive after, and who's been quite negative about the eclipse. And we wondered, what influences that? Is it somebody's journey so far? Is it their natal chart? Is it their general outlook on life? Is it like all three? But it seems like people have very, very different experiences. I'm always just really open to just seeing what happens and being, I think I'm quite objective about things, and I think I'm like that with everything. I think that is something that I've very much taught myself and learned over the years getting older. But yeah, I'm always just kind of like, let's wait and see what happens type of person. But I think some people very much had it in their heads that it was going to be bad, so they felt bad. What do you think? What do you think influences that? Is it their astrology? Is it their general outlook on life? Is it because they've just been unlucky and had a whole load of bad stuff, and so therefore, you know, their experiences in life are bad, so they're going to feel like this is bad? What do you think? Maybe you were excited about the eclipse, and then when it happened, you were disappointed, or it felt like an anticlimax, or you thought you were going to feel a certain way, but the energy was completely different. Let me know what you think. I would love to know. I'd love to hear. Some of you have messaged me already and told me what you experienced, and it looked and sounded absolutely fantastic. So thank you for that. I'm really disappointed we didn't have one here in the UK. I did see the one in 1999. I seem to think it was a hazy, cloudy-ish day, and you could only really just about make it out. I didn't have any special viewing glasses, I don't think, but I can't remember. But I do remember I was working at an engineering firm. I was 18 years old, and I do remember that we were allowed to go outside and experience it. And I do remember it getting dark. I remember the chaps working next door, they stored like not electrical equipment, I can't get my words out today, music equipment that was electrical. So things like speakers and amps and stuff like that. They would hire those out to people that had gigs on. One of the guys that I knew there, he was also a mechanic, or had been a mechanic, and he had some like welding glass. He had like a welding mask. So he was wearing that and saw it. But yeah, I just remember the excitement. I was 18. It was the first time I think that I'd been aware of anything like that in my life. And I think it was probably the first one in quite a long time, like a total solar eclipse. And yeah, I do remember at the time this feeling of like, ooh, what's going to happen? Just a weird feeling, not before, but during. I do remember it felt very, very weird. And lots of people have been taking advantage of this eclipse and, you know, the spectacle. Some people apparently got married at the time of the eclipse. I think if you're outside, I think you can have weddings outside, can't you, in America? We have to have a shelter, so it's not quite the same. But I think if you're outside, then it's quite nice, and quite nice for the celebrant, because I think I'd be a bit gutted if I had to work when that was happening. I'd rather see that. For many people, eclipses, total solar eclipses, that's what we're talking about today. For many people, they are like a harbinger of change. Some people see them as new beginnings, like very much like a curtain coming down, or the lights being turned out and then back on again and the curtain brought back up. So for some people, that they really enjoy them, they enjoy that sort of like fresh new beginning feel, you know, something major has happened, and then after that, there you go, you got, you know, a fresh new change. It's a new beginning, a new period of time. I really love the idea of a picnic. I mean, obviously, if you're going to have a total solar eclipse, it depends where you are, what time of year, what the weather is like. But I was thinking about this, like the best way I think to view one would be a picnic with friends, or with special glasses, and just sit and watch it while you're having a picnic. Yeah, just a little thought from my brain. So yeah, when is the next one? I don't know when the next one is. I know eclipses, they happen fairly often, don't they? But they don't, not a total solar eclipse, not in the way that it happened on Monday. For some people, it's a good time for shadow work. They think very much about like what's in the shadows, what is being hidden, what's being revealed, what personally am I hiding, you know, what aspects of my personality are hidden. For others, they represent transformation. And for me, I think for me, it makes me think about nature. It makes me think about the planet. It makes me think about how special our world is. It makes me think about looking after it and preserving it so that, you know, we can stay here for generations to come. And by that I mean, you know, not wiping ourselves out with climate change. So yeah, for me there's like a heavy emphasis on nature, and also just like the magic of nature and the magic of the world. And you know, for all intents and purposes, we continue as normal, and then every now and then something really, really special like this happens. So yeah, very, very interesting. I'd love to hear all about your experiences, both in terms of viewing the eclipse, but also experiencing it energetically. And you don't have to be in North America, Canada or Mexico to answer this question. You could be in England, you could be in Sweden, you could be in France, because obviously it happened, you know, it happened to everybody, even if you couldn't see it. So yeah, I would absolutely love to know. Now, a really, really interesting topic, something that I had never thought of before, but over on Patreon, we've been discussing Beltane, and somebody who lives in the Southern Hemisphere had said that certain times in the wheel of the year don't feel as they should be, and she wondered what she should do. And I think this is a really, really good question. So let me give you some examples. So maybe you feel like the astrology at the time doesn't correlate to sort of like what's going on seasonally. Perhaps you have moved from one hemisphere to another, and you associate that, you know, particular dates with particular festivals. Or maybe you have very, very heavy heritage, ancestry, or you've been brought up in a particular culture where, you know, you celebrate certain things and that doesn't actually fit in perhaps with what everyone else is doing. So to give you a clearer example, if I was to move to Australia, I would very much struggle with the idea of May the 1st actually being Samhain. So seasonally, you know, looking out the window, it's autumn, it's that season on the wheel opposite. But because I have lived and celebrated in the UK Beltane on the 1st of May since I was like 16 years old, you know, maybe even a little bit younger, then what on earth would I do if I moved to Australia? I would find it very, very difficult. I guess if I was involved in a community where people around me were celebrating Samhain at that time, so April 30th, May 1st, and everyone around me was doing that, I guess over time it would feel more like that, and the weather might make me feel a bit like that. But I just associate May 1st with Beltane. I think that would be very, very difficult. So what to do if you're in this situation? I think this is a really, really tough one. I really, really do. And I've obviously always advocated for doing what feels right to you when it comes to celebrating the wheel of the year. And I've always maintained that it's different for each person because of where they are geographically. You know, people in the southwest of Cornwall are most likely experiencing very, very different seasonal changes and weather to me up here over on the right side. I'm in the East Midlands. So I've always said, you know, look out your window, that's what you go with. But yeah, you could be in a situation where you've moved hemisphere, you've moved to the other side of the world, you're in a different region, and so your customs and your traditions in terms of your dates, your calendar, don't marry up with the seasons. So it is really difficult. I guess, so someone made a suggestion, have an altar. So for example, if it's Samhain but it doesn't feel right, then celebrate Samhain because that's what's going on outside in terms of seasons, you know, the autumn, but you could have an altar dedicated perhaps to like northern spirits, you know, maybe Beltane, you could have a Beltane, or, you know, do both. And I think you could celebrate both because simultaneously, while it's Beltane in one place, it's Samhain in another. Equally, you could just follow the one that you felt was right. So even if you were somewhere and people were celebrating Samhain and you didn't want to do that and you felt like energetically it was more like Beltane, and celebrate Beltane, because it will be Beltane on the other side of the world. So a really, really difficult one. I think it's very, very personal. I would be really, really interested to know what you thought. I mean, I guess really, if you are on the other side of the world, then it's whatever season you are currently enjoying. But this gets really tricky. So it makes sense. Like when we have summer solstice, it is winter solstice in Australia. But where that gets difficult is at Christmas. Christmas has very much developed from Yule. So in Australia, when it's Christmas, which is connected to Yule, is actually the summer solstice for them. You know, December the 21st, the 19th, 20th, whichever date it falls on, it's a movable feast. Really, that is the period of time in which, yes, we in the Northern Hemisphere, we celebrate the winter solstice, but that's all connected in, isn't it, with Yule? I mean, I suppose you could say they are different things, but Yule originated in the Northern Hemisphere. So it's a really, really tricky one. I guess you could say you could celebrate Yule, Christmas, and it being the summer solstice. So I suppose it does work. It does work. Especially as there are many, obviously, of our ancestors from the north in Australia, obviously, if you know the history of that. But yeah, it's a tricky one. It is a tricky one. It is a tricky one. What do you think? I just personally think just go with whatever feels right to you, whatever's right to you, whatever's right for your family. Just go with the flow. Just go with the flow. So I thought we would talk about Beltane, as we are, well, we're coming up for, is it 3 weeks away maybe? Maybe 2 weeks away. Today is the 12th, and this episode of The Witching Week lasts until next week, which is the 19th of April already. Oh my goodness, where is it going? So yeah, Beltane. We think the name might mean bright fire, and possibly comes from Bel's fire. So Bel being one of the, well, being a Celtic sun god. So at this time we are celebrating joy, abundance, fertility, sex, growth, passion, love, lust, all the beautiful things. We are warming up. We've woken up now. Nearly everyone's awake now, even those people that really sort of hibernate in the winter. Everything is blooming and growing, and there's blossom and daffodils and all sorts of lovely flowers. It is my favourite festival of all, out of all of them. It's such a joyful time, full of mirth, and yeah, it's just a brilliant, brilliant time. It is a time of celebration. The days are so much longer now. It's getting dark, sort of between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. It's growing lighter, it's growing warmer. It really is a peak time of celebration. We haven't yet reached the summer solstice, which is going to be the downturn. We're not going to talk any more about that. We haven't, looking at it from a traditional point of view, we don't have the responsibility and hard work of the harvest yet. That's yet to come. And so this one really just truly is pure celebration. We've had the promise of light. We've had that light manifested. We've seen that promise has come true. We've got past that point, which was still really cold. And now we are moving into warmer days that are just, on the whole, they are warmer because there's just more light. So yeah, even when it's cold, it's just not quite as cold. Obviously, living in the UK, anything could happen. Absolutely anything could happen. But on the whole, it's fantastic. It's the best time of year, in my opinion. And it does very much, I think, carry that same energy as Beltane, you know, in terms of spirits and fairies and those kinds of things. So in terms of correspondences, I thought I would talk about gods and goddesses, spell work and themes, and some of the creatures associated with Beltane, but I'm just going to list them off. I'm not going to go into the depths of them. It's up to you to go and research them, because otherwise we will be here all day. So gods, so very much characters like Bacchus, Bel, Cernunnos, Herne, the horn god, the Green Man, Odin, Frey and Pan. They're very much associated with this time of year, and some of them make sense, don't they? Like the Green Man with the foliage, you know, that growing out of the face. Everything is blooming and growing. Goddesses, anyone really related to love, so Aphrodite, Venus, and figures like Diana, Bastet or Bast, Skadi and Freya. And in terms of spell work and themes, we are obviously looking at union, so the coming together of someone or something, so the union in particular of the goddess and god, their sacred marriage, all new life, creation, growth, expansion, evolution, joy, fertility, abundance, prosperity, the end of winter, the start of the lighter half of the year, spirits and fae and connecting with them, and just, yeah, you might want to do things like dance the maypole, jump the fire, wash your face in the early morning dew. So traditionally people would stay out all night because it's warm enough to do that, make love in the fields, hang out in the forests. And so it wouldn't be a case of getting up early to wash your face in the morning dew, it would be a case that you've been up all night. So that's something that you do to encourage like beauty and youth, a type of glamour magic. But actually it would probably be needed, especially at my age, to freshen you up after being awake all night. It's really, really difficult now for me to pull an all-nighter. It's just something I can't do. So yeah, amazing, wonderful, happy time of year. If there was one word to sum it up, I think the word is glorious. So creatures, so we're looking at things like fairies, Pegasus, satyrs, and giants, and I would maybe even say unicorns, because they're quite like a Pegasus, aren't they? So yeah, that is just a few little taster bits for your altars and getting ready for Beltane and thinking about the energy of Beltane. What are you doing? Do you have any plans? We are only a couple of weeks away now. I think it's like 2.5 or something. It's on a Wednesday, I think, this year. What are you up to? I would love to hear. We're going to do some cards now. It's time that we have a little look at the energy for the week ahead. Let me know how your week's been, what you've been up to. Okay, 3 cards for today. So the Chariot, we've got the 4 of Cups, and we've also got the 8 of Cups. So I feel like this is a little bit of a pep talk this week, and these cards, they very much sort of resonate with some of the conversations I've had with people this week, some themes that keep cropping up. So I want to tell you that life is, as you know, it can be really, really tricky sometimes. You can question, you think you've just got it sorted, you've just got it right, and then suddenly things veer off, like from one direction completely into the other. And this is where we're going with the Chariot. But I want you to know that you're on the right path, and when you feel like you have veered off, then that's because there's a lesson there, there's something you need to learn, there's something you need to see. And sometimes, you know, we have to have the bad experiences to appreciate the good ones. That's all part of the joy of life. But I want you to know that you are on the right track. And our destiny, yes, we do have personal choice, so that has an impact on things, but our destiny takes us to where we need to be. So please don't be too hard on yourselves. Don't be hard on yourselves if something that you think you had mastered, you'd got on top of, you'd had that lesson several times over, and then it pops up again. Don't be hard on yourself. As I said at my moot last night to someone, we are not humans having a spiritual experience. We're spirits having a human experience, and so we have to go through these things. We have to go through these things, and when times get tough, it's really, really important that we do accept the help of others. This is another conversation I had with someone else this week, where they found it really difficult to say yes to help, to ask for help, anything at all, you know, about getting anyone else involved at a time when they have been in their absolute moment of need. people offer their help when they want to. They don't do that for the joy, for the fun of it. People offer to help because they really, really want to help. So please take that help when it is offered to you. If you're having a bad time and you have veered off the path and something major is going down and someone offers you the hand of friendship, the hand of support, then take it. You know, we need to work more at our communities, at helping each other, but I also think we need to get better at accepting that help. I think we're all so used to being so independent and not accept that help because we feel like we're being a pain, we feel like we're being a nuisance, and that makes us feel really, really uncomfortable. And I think the more we get out of doing that, the more we say yes to help, then the more, you know, as a world, we can become more cooperative, more friendly, more caring. You know, if someone offers you their help, that's a lovely gift, and so you should take it. Now, lastly, I want you all to keep an eye on your mental health. If it's all getting a bit too much, do not walk away from this, do not ignore it. Take the help you need. Again, whether that's support from friends, whether that's looking up some professional help, or whether that is just making some time for self-care, putting yourself first, putting your oxygen mask on so that you can put other people's oxygen masks on, to use that analogy that's quite common. So yeah, I'm not saying we're in for a bumpy ride this week. This is just opening up the possibilities of what might happen for some of you and how best to deal with those situations. So that's all for this episode of The Witching Week. I'm going to leave it there because I'm getting very tired and it's becoming very difficult to speak. I'm wishing you an absolutely fantastic week ahead. I hope it is full of things that are amazing, as the eclipse we've just had. Leave a comment, let me know if you're okay, what you've been up to, how you're doing. I'd love to hear, and I will be back next week with another episode on Friday. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Sending all my love and blessings to you and yours.